Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. This is Smart Business Moves. Hey, Liz.
Hey, y'all.
Monday,
Woo.
full week. Okay, I feel like we're kind of getting to 2021 here, I feel like I'm starting to get over the holidays.
You think about it, we are going to be into February before, yeah, like before anything happens. It's crazy how the month can, especially January, I feel like really goes by fast because of all of the stuff that happens at the end of January. I mean, December. So it's like trying to catch up from December. What? It's half the way into January already. It's the 11th? What? It's crazy. So anyway, we have some news today, don't we, Tom, about PPP stuff? I know big
Well,
people are talking about.
what you hear, Liz? What's going on in the PPP world?
Ain't the neat. So I gotta switch up my little view over here. So what I have heard is that if you did not get the first round of PPP, that the portal is open for you as of today. I know one company. Hey, Linda. Hey, Anya. Is that your name? Anya or Ania? I'm guessing Anya. I love that name anyway. However it's pronounced, it's gorgeous. But let's see. I know one company that did not get the first round of PPP, and they were sent an invitation from their bank saying because you didn't get the first round, you're first on the list and apply today. So I was like, oh, all right. Well, that's nifty. I hadn't even heard about that. I only heard because they're getting it. They were invited. Hey, Leslie, but I did hear that the rest of us are going to be invited to apply Wednesday. I'm thinking, hey, Bridget, hey, y'all. So I'm thinking that they do not know how inundated they're going to be this time around because now we're all educated. Now we all know what it is, what's coming, and to go and hit our banks up. We're ready. We're all sitting at our computers so that, at 7 a.m., we're hitting it. Where last time
It's like getting together with your friends, going to Ticketmaster, trying to get those concert tickets, right?
Yeah, no kidding. A lot of people on here have no idea what you're talking about, Tom. They're all youngins.
Okay, camping out? No, okay, never mind.
Yeah, well, some people on here understand what we're talking about. There, they've been through that too. But yeah, so back in the day when it happened the first time, a lot of people, hey, Starlene, a lot of people didn't even know what the PPP was for months. They were like, what? PPP? I haven't even heard of that. What is that? That's why a lot of people were really struggling at the end there, right? Didn't get it, etc. Hey, Debbie, lots of regulars on here today. So I think the internet is going to crash, y'all, on Wednesday. We're going to take down the webs. So we're all going to be like hitting the bank.
I think the good news, though.
Leslie remembers, right? Leslie's like, I remember standing in line middle of the night.
I think the good news is, and don't hold me to this. No guarantees, but what is there's 280 some billion dollars that are approved for the second round, and they've changed the rules in terms of the really large institutions that companies that got like half of the funds, like 5% of the companies got like 50% of the funds.
Yeah.
They've changed the rules where they're not going to qualify this time. And if you do the math in terms of how many people got PPP funds last time, there should be plenty. I mean, it's hard to imagine they're going to run out.
Your lips too. The big man's ears there, Tom.
You don't want to like wait a month to get around to it. But I guess the idea of staying up Tuesday night so you can be like at your keyboard at whatever time,
I was literally talking to somebody today that said that she's just so on pins and needles and so wasn't able to sleep last night. And this was in a group. We're all like, why couldn't you sleep? So I'm so excited about the PPP. I'm like, I'm ready.
It's like Christmas. It's like Santa Claus is coming.
Well, she actually struggled to get it last time. Her bank, she was with Chase, and Chase wasn't coming through. So it was ridiculously stressful. She did not think she was going to get it. Everybody she knew had pretty much gotten their PPP, and she was like, I haven't seen a portal yet. So she ended up going through another bank. And so it was very stressful for her. She's like, I just don't want to be in that situation again. I'm like, I don't blame you.
Last time we kind of ran into some issues with a couple of the branches, and we applied a second time to like a digital platform. I think one of them was with Cabbage, and another one maybe was with Bluevine. And I think somebody told me Bluevine's not even Bluevine now; they were bought by somebody else. But those guys turned it around in like just 2 or 3 days. It was incredible, and you can do that. They won't give you the money twice if you like apply to a large bank, and if they aren't responsive, you can go to one of these digital guys and get your money, and the big bank will just kind of,
Oh, you already got it. Never mind.
You don't need it. You're good.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Danita is telling us that PayPal gave her just decided. Yeah, I understand PayPal is really fast too.
I don't remember, so we applied, they gave it to us. How quickly did we get the money? Oh, Bridget, you don't qualify? Darn it. I mean, yay for you. If you don't qualify, that means that your business didn't drop off. Yay, I'm happy for you. I guess that's actually a win. That really is a win.
If
you don't need it.
For you guys who, just to recover or recount some of the discussions we've had before, it's your quarter over quarter, 2019 versus 2020. You need to show a 25% drop in your gross revenue. That's the top line. That's the money your customers were paying you. So for most of us, it would be second quarter 19 minus second quarter 20. Is that a 25% drop? And be mindful, like in QuickBooks, there's 2 ways of looking at that. You can look at that on a cash basis. You can look at that on an accrual basis. And I'm still looking for some guidance and haven't quite got it yet, how much latitude that you have as a business owner between picking which one of those 2 accounting methods you can use, because they'll give you different numbers, or most cases they will. And you might be able to, if you're close, and if you don't get it on a cash basis, you might be able to get it on accrual or vice versa.
Okay, good information, Tom. Good little tip anyway, something to look at. And well, we love the idea of using it to train people. Linda, that's a big strategy that we use too. I got my PPE from Bank of America, so waiting for directions for forgiveness. Send me email, they will send. This is nothing came. Yeah, Katerina, that's normal. I'm also with Bank of America, and they're not in any hurry to process the forgiveness yet. We are supposed to be, or at least my bank said that we are supposed to be eligible to apply on Wednesday. I mean, if you're eligible, that they'll start accepting applications.
Forgiveness. Now, we've talked about this before too. Before jumping into applying for forgiveness, you want to make sure that you understand how the rules work for the tax credits, because you can get the tax credits off of the salary dollars, off of the wages you pay. And the idea is to get as much forgiveness on the other allowable expenses as you can get, and use as little of your PPP funds for salary as you can, creating more of an opportunity for you to get tax credits.
More tax credits, get a larger quantity of the money. Yeah. So, and there, the information that's going around right now is that there really is no big hurry to get your forgiveness taken care of. So some people are really wanting to get that done. But keep in mind that right now they're still saying no hurry. We don't know what else is coming along, and there may be additional things that could come and make it even easier, or like that has happened. Even just this new thing, right? It says that forgiveness is just going to be like a snap compared to what they were telling us 2 months ago.
Okay, so Bridget's asking a question here, and this is a good question because it gets confusing, because we're talking about two different things. We're talking about PPP and we're talking about tax credits. For PPP, it's the quarter in 2019 compared to the quarter in 20. For the tax credits for this year, for 2021, it's like first quarter 21 compared to first quarter 19, because the presumption is 19 would be the first quarter, first quarter 20 revenue would already be depressed. So that's a bit weird. That's a bit wonky. And the thing that's really weird about that is if you're close to the 25%, you have a little bit of control over that in terms of how much revenue you can generate first quarter. So, I mean, this can get as crazy as you want it to.
So if you're getting stuck there, because I talked to two different people today that were like, I don't understand, how can it be first quarter for PPP? Well, it couldn't, right? Because we can't compare first quarter. We're not there yet. So that's how you know it's not first quarter 2021, that it has to be 19 to 20, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or fourth. Most people are probably going to be looking at second or third quarter. And some people, like, let's see, we had a few people on here, like Pam, that has grown too much to be able to even apply. So yay for you, Pam. I'm happy for you that your business didn't suffer as much as some. That's great. But if you did, that 25%, and you don't have any control over that, right? Those numbers are already written. But Tom, you were saying you got a little bit of smooshing factor with the
tax credits. Like if you start getting down into March and you're right on the edge, there might be a job or two that you would decide and wait and do them in April. Of course, there's another caveat to the tax credits about you had to shut down because of some mandated rule, and that could be at a state level, that could theoretically be at a community level. It's kind of vaguely worded, and that would be regardless of the diminution of income.
That does make sense, Linda, that it would have to be second, third, or fourth, because first quarter COVID hadn't hit yet. So that
I think you're right. That was when the first law passed. So first quarter probably doesn't count.
And it did hit, and COVID was with us in March, but there weren't any kind of mandatory shutdowns or anything until April. Is that right?
I think some places were being shut down in March.
Oh, well, then that's first quarter.
Yeah, it is. So I'm not completely sure about that.
Oh,
but
me either.
Robin is telling us that you can have your PPP loan forgiven, or for the forgiveness amended rather. And I've heard that as well. So the easiest way to apply for forgiveness is just to take it all and throw it at payroll. It's just, you don't have to do a lot of math that way. And if you did that and decide, hey, I want to revise that and try to reduce the payroll amount and push more off on other liable expenses, you can do that.
And that's for the tax credits, y'all. That's why you might want to do that. Robin, what February was impacted? I didn't even think it hit until March. So yeah, different parts of the country. We probably just weren't talking about it real hard and heavy until March.
There were cases out in your part of the country in January, I believe.
At that big retirement home.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that early. Yeah. Could be. All right. Well.
So more to come. Yep. But this is getting interesting, and it's all good. Want to get back to work, Liz?
Back to work, y'all. All right. So here we are. Guess what we're talking about today? Profits. Yay. We shut down on March 24th. All right. Yeah, I think that's what we saw for a lot of people was March, but people were getting nervous in late February. Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, if people were shutting down, There's some places that were severely impacted too. Like Tom, if you were saying that big hit was in January up here in Seattle, then I would imagine that there were some Seattle companies that were really hit hard in that first quarter. So, I mean, I guess you're going to use your numbers. That's why they're saying quarter over quarter, your numbers 19 to 20. All right, so we're back to talking about our LDPR, loaded direct payroll to revenue number.
You know what? I didn't mean to digress, but I just went back and found an article, and it looked like this was in February that you had the big outbreak.
I thought it was February. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
And it didn't really get down here, even though we're only, a little ways away, a couple hours away. It wasn't impacting us until later. Our government was a little slow on the uptake. Did I say governor?
Governor.
I'm like, I don't think I said governor. Yeah, our governor. But like a lot of places in the country, our governor is not well loved for his COVID response.
Okay, so we're going to get to work now.
Okay.
And we're talking about making green numbers go up and red numbers go down. These are our growth KPI factors, and we've been focusing on our loaded direct payroll to revenue. And in this example, we have it at 55%, but that's a red number. We want that number to be as low as it can be.
Yep.
Because
how low can it get, Tom?
I've seen some companies that can get it down in the low to mid 30s. Mm. Now, you remember we've talked about that varies depending on a lot of different things. Your business model primarily being one of those. These are typically companies that run solos, and well, that's not even always true either. I've seen some solo companies do that though, where they're really driving it low and keeping their efficiency low because people are punching in at their first house and punching out, they get done with their last house. So they really don't have, they're very efficient. They really don't have that many hours on the payroll that they aren't cleaning something. And that is proving to be, especially leveraging all the technology that's out there now and coming up with creative ways where they aren't having to come to the office. And COVID actually has driven some of that innovation because that's just a more thorough way of social distancing, if you will.
Yeah. A lot of people are more efficient now because of COVID. Yes, thank you, COVID, for that. Somebody pointed this out to me, and it might not be easy for everyone. Some are, Robin, some are not.
I've seen there's a few companies that come to mind that are able to do this, and they have employees.
Yeah. Yep, me too. Okay, so somebody pointed this out to me last week, you guys, and I thought it was great. It was super helpful for me, but I'm not sure it will be for everybody. So when we're talking about productivity and efficiency, a lot of times people are like, which one is which? So somebody pointed this out to me. When you say the word efficient, you have this sound, shh, shh, the same sound that's in windshield. Efficient, windshield. Those go together. So I was like, okay, that's good. Remember, efficiency is windshield time. It's the same thing. So keeping in mind. So if you're like, which one is it? Efficiency, windshield, or productivity? That's not it. Windshield doesn't fit into productivity at all. So for those of you that are at all appreciate alliteration, there you go. There's a little something for you to help. I thought, oh, that is good. That'll help some people remember for sure.
That's interesting.
You would have never thought of that, Tom. That is not your gig.
No, I'm not wired that way.
No, but it is great for the people who are wired that way, that are like, which one is which? Especially because really, Tom, until you came along, people use these words interchangeably, which because when we first started doing foundations, how many times did people say the wrong word and we'd be off talking about one thing and they're talking about something else, right? So these words were right, Robin? I agree. Very, very helpful, because these words have been used interchangeably for so long that people need some quick cues to help them remember exactly what it is quickly. So I loved it. I thought it was great. All right, but we're talking loaded direct payroll to revenue, and we're talking about this number. Why did we start here, Tom?
Because this is, out of everything that we're talking about here, this is probably some of the most fertile ground that we all have in our businesses to create a more profitable company.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to see because there's so many moving parts, and a lot of times our QuickBooks aren't set up in a way, our accounting systems aren't set up in a way where we can even measure this effectively. And you know, we know that we aren't as profitable as we want to be, and we might not have enough money to pay our bills, and we wind up looking at all kinds of other things. You know, where can I, get a cheaper supplies, for instance? And we are looking in the wrong places to make our business more profitable. So if we can figure out how to attack loaded payroll to revenue in our business, a lot of other stuff gets a whole lot easier. This is the whole Willie Sutton thing. Why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. Well, that's if there's only one number you can play with here, that would be the one that I would go after.
And when you're dealing with this one too, Tom, wouldn't you say it's true that a lot of the things that you can do that will impact loaded direct payroll to revenue also impact some of these other areas?
Oh yeah.
So you're like doing double duty, triple duty sometimes by focusing on this one. It's like you're really making a bigger impact on your company than again focusing on like supplies or reducing your cell phone service or some of those other things that we hear about all the time. All right, so what are we talking about today?
Okay, so we've been drilling down on the loaded direct payroll. We spent some time talking about reducing the labor load and what that means in terms of getting our insurance costs more under control, so it's not affecting our direct labor. And we're actually working on training expense. And these are some of the high areas that we were talking about last week. And today we're going to be doing a deeper dive into recruiting, because
we're doing recruiting as a function of reducing training expense because we want to train the fewest number of people possible. So we want to recruit better so that we're training fewer people. Yeah.
So if we do that, I mean, back to your earlier point, if we do that, then obviously we are lowering our loaded direct payroll because we aren't spending this additional amount of money on training people only to have them leave and having to train again. But if you think about the other consequences that come from that if I'm doing a really good job of recruiting the right people, and the people I'm hiring, I'm doing a better job of training them so they stay, then what type of workforce do you have?
Better, for sure. Stronger,
more reliable,
yeah,
more productive.
hopefully.
Because, well, through repetition and practice, new people as a rule aren't as productive as seasoned cleaning technicians.
Yeah, agreed.
So plus they tend to just perform better and get higher quality scores.
Yeah, better all the way around. Definitely easier to manage, right? People that have been with your company, well, not definitely, but they tend to be easier to manage, especially if you're working through the life cycle of your employee, starting at the very, very beginning, because you're hiring better people that are easier to manage if that's something that's important to you, right? So, which gets us right into this first question of who to recruit, right? So how do you decide who it is that you want to recruit? We had some conversation last week about maybe raising what you pay so that different people are attracted to your job. So this is really, really kind of what's the word that I'm looking for? It's kind of fluid. So who to recruit, where to recruit, the ad, all of these things kind of flow together, right? So you kind of have to make all of these decisions together and at the same time, because they all play together. Who you're going to recruit helps you decide where to recruit. That helps you decide what that ad should look like. But you have to know what your culture is to decide who you're going to recruit, and so everything sort of plays into each other. We're cleaners for sure. Oh, Pam, are you saying that you're working with your newer cleaners on productivity? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's everybody, right? That's one of the big struggles. Most companies that I know of, not all of them, but most companies that I know of spend the beginning part of training working on quality and getting people to understand what needs to be cleaned and to what level, the scope of work and that type of stuff. And then after that part is clear, then they start working on getting faster and being more productive. Again, not all companies, but usually that's the way it works. All right, so who to
Yeah.
recruit?
I mean, there's some obvious stuff here. I mean, every company should just have some of the requirements. This is kind of the hard, tangible stuff that you can measure. And
Yeah.
do your recruits have to have their own reliable vehicle, for instance? That could vary depending upon what your business model is.
And depending on where you live. So I know a business owner that lives back east, and his market is so small that none of the people have cars. They just don't. That's not a thing to have a car. So that might not be a requirement for you and your company. But if you are running solos and you live in a larger area, not only do your people have to have cars, they might have to have a good, valid license too.
Mm-hmm.
So the requirements is going to be really, really important depending on your area, where you live, what's important to you, and it's your business model. So car license.
Age could be an issue. Your insurance policy might state that you have to be of a certain age before you can drive.
Yep. What other kind of requirements do you guys have? Things that are sort of deal breakers. That's what we're talking about when we were saying requirements. Like if you don't have this, I'm not even going to move forward in the process. I can give you some examples of other ones that other people have. Yeah, deal breakers. Another one that we hear a lot is that they've kept a job for longer than however long, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. If they're job hoppers, some companies won't even look at them again.
Okay.
Or won't continue. That's a deal breaker for them. So like a minimum time on the job, maybe. How about you guys? No fear or severe allergies to cats or dogs. So that I can see that as a deal breaker for sure, right? Allergies.
These phobias.
Yeah. Well, and I'm probably not just any phobias, but maybe like pet phobias would be a big deal, because if you have a phobia for maybe like a water phobia or something, maybe that's okay. But or fear of spiders, you could probably still work here. It's probably not going to be a deal breaker. But if you're afraid of dogs, you probably can't work at a cleaning company. It's going to be a struggle.
Living here in Charleston, you can't go anywhere without going over a really big bridge. And there's some people that have a really big fear of driving over bridges.
I have an employee that can't drive on bridges at all, but we don't have any bridges here. Well, we have one, like a radio station that we clean. It's at the end of a pier, and she can't clean that place, but that's okay. Here it's okay, but that might be a deal breaker for you guys, Tom. So that's what you guys are looking for. Yeah, these are good. Able to lift 30 pounds. Is it a deal breaker, Bridget? What if they can lift 25 pounds?
Yeah.
Deal breaker? Let's see, high school diploma. All right, Denise, what if they are 20, but they have their GED? Can they not work for you because they don't have a high school diploma? So that's what we're looking for here. No fear of animals, must be able to, I can't read what Starlene says.
Must be able to pick up 25 pounds.
Pick up, okay. Okay, yep, deal breaker, then absolutely. If it's a deal breaker, so that's another one we want to stick on there, Tom, like how much they could lift. And maybe that should be something like physical ability or something along those lines. So a reminder, you guys, as we're going through this list, that we are creating a list for you guys to be creating in your business. This isn't just talking points. This isn't just us chit-chatting right now. You should be figuring out who you are recruiting in your business. What are the requirements for your business? All right, so Denise, it's a GED. So maybe education might be one, right? And depending on your company, you might have more of these, less of these. Standing for long periods of time. I think that does have to do with physical ability. Again, probably Denise. Like back stuff. You got to be careful with that physical ability too, don't you, Tom, when you're hiring?
Yeah, you need to, ask those questions in a way. I guess we'll dig more into that once we get to the interview process. But there's a right way and a wrong way to address that. If you do it the wrong way, you could get yourself in a situation where you could be accused of any EOC violation. So we'll talk about that once we get into that a little bit deeper.
You might have to kick some of these. You have 4 things on this white one slide. You might have to kick a couple off to another slide, Tom, because who to recruit is a lot more than just requirements too. So these are kind of the deal breakers from, oh wait, we had another one, English, where that one goes, speak or communicate in English. And I think this might just be a communication thing, because I know that there was maybe it is English. Not sure. I was thinking about a company that was asking about hiring someone that was deaf, and they were really concerned about having them in a home if there was any kind of an injury, or because they work in teams because of that.
I would talk to a labor attorney about that. That is
Protected.
Potentially, yeah. They have this thing called reasonable accommodations. It's under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I would really talk to an attorney about that.
Yeah. What we realized in the conversation, or what she realized in the conversation, is there are reasonable accommodations that could be made. So it was probably not going to be on her deal breaker list. But this speak and communicate in English, I'm not sure. What about that one, Tom?
I guess that depends upon your business model. I mean, I know that some companies make that a requirement, and that can be a requirement if you have to read work instructions. I mean, that and communicate with clients, and there could be certain, it's a lot of jobs that require that. I can't work in a call center unless I can,
So we were talking about the Equal Employment Opportunities Act, right? And I wanted to be clear, you have minimum age up here under car and license, but you're specifically talking about age with regards to insurance.
Being able to be insured. I said minimum age, not age. You don't want to ask somebody, how old are you? You want to be asking, are you at least 21? Are you 21 years of age or older?
And that specifically has to do with your insurance.
Right.
So because you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble there. Honestly, in residential cleaning, hey, Katerina, I got this little click up symbol that covers up whoever's on the bottom of my list here.
You need to right hand click on that thing and say, go away. I know if you do that, you won't be able to get it back and your life will be ruined. But
it's yes, you're right, Tom. So I'll just wait for you to tell me what it says. Honesty. Oh, she says honesty. So that was who to recruit. We're looking for somebody who's honest, Tom. So this might not be a deal breaker in that how it's not it's a little subjective, right? Honesty is a little bit more subjective than some of these other ones. So whether or not somebody has a car or a license, that's subjective. They either have one or they don't. What their job history is, that is subjective, but you can decide where exactly that cutoff is. But it is going to be a little bit of a struggle for you to just measure somebody's honesty.
Right.
Although I think that needs to be another bullet point, Tom, not under requirements though, right? But it needs to be one of the things that you're looking for. And I would say, as far as honesty, we might instead change that bullet point to like your values, your core values, because it's more than just.
So now this is really getting into
who to recruit, which is true.
Yeah, this is the overarching point of this is a lot of this list here, let me say it this way, is kind of a CYA thing. I just can't hire somebody who physically can't do the work, or maybe can't, has a bad driving history, or isn't old enough to be insured. That's cut and dry. But the point here is, who do I hire that has the highest probability of being a long-term successful, productive, team member in my company? And that's a lot harder to get down to than, can you, pick up 25 pounds and do you have a reliable car? That starts getting into core values. That starts getting into motivators. That starts getting into DISC assessments. Well, Liz, I'll let you take it from there. This is in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. So when we start talking about, Debbie, so honesty, reliability. So there are a lot of things, core values that, different companies care about different things. And the funny thing is, when we're talking about core values, we're all like, yes, I want them all. I need all of my employees to have every great value and trait that there is. But it's not reasonable. We're not perfect. And we're not going to find any employees that have all of the amazing core values. So ideally, you're looking for employees that have the things that you value. So like Denise, you the first one that pops into your mind is honesty. Debbie, first one that maybe pops into your mind is reliability. So those things, and Katerina, you also said honesty. And if those are the things that are important to you, so what we run into after who to recruit, right? Once we have those requirements, everything after requirements gets hard. Everything after that gets hard because that's so subjective. How are you going to rate somebody's honesty or their reliability? How are you going to decide whether they are reliable? Or so like in my company, communication is a really big deal. More open communication than English based though. And how do you grade that? How openly somebody communicates? I don't know. Core values is a tricky little thing. And we're talking about recruiting here, right? So how do you recruit for these types? Are you guys saying that you do? Denise, do you recruit for honesty? Debbie, recruit for reliability? Katerina, the same thing. And if so, how? How do you guys do that? Is it in an ad? Is it part of your interview process? When we're thinking about recruiting, I'm thinking of going what it is that we're looking for out there and how we are attracting this certain type of people. Is that how you guys think of it? Is that how you think of it, Tom?
Yeah, we want to be able to, it's two things that we're doing. We're not to the point we're going to be talking about actually, building ads and how to do this here in a minute, but you certainly are selling. so you don't want to paint a picture of, you got to have this long list of like 50 things in order for us to consider you, because you might have some really awesome candidates who won't apply, but at the same time, you need to be specific enough to kind of frame up what you're looking for, because you don't have time to be talking to a bunch of people who really aren't going to be a good fit for your organization.
Which is why we hit requirements first, because you want to look at those first. If there are things that are going to be deal breakers, weed people out for that first, but be attracting, like you said, Tom, it's really important to be attracting. You said last Thursday, attracting as wide of an audience as possible so that you have a larger pool of better candidates. Right. So as a reminder, if we want to have a really, really large pool, we don't want to weed people out too stringently in this recruiting process. So we might not want to talk about, you have to have a car, you have to have a license, you have to be at least 21, can't be allergic to dogs or cats, you can't have any physical limitations, you must have at least a GED, you must be able to pass a background, you must be able to pass a drug test. Just because, even if all of those things were true, if you were to put that in your ad, people are like, oh man, these people are too discriminating. Nobody wants to work at that company. I don't even want to work in that company. It just sounds like too much. Are you kidding me? Well, like, you haven't even told me anything great about your company. So why would I even want to work there? The whole ad is about what won't work.
Yeah, you really need to take the ad in order to get the maximum impact, and be explaining to people, painting a picture as to this is really an awesome place to work, and this is why you would want to work here. And it's a balancing act, but if you're going to be wrong, you need to lean towards getting more applicants and not enough. The last thing you can afford to do is to be turning away, quality applicants, people who would be awesome in your organization, because your ad stinks.
Yeah, and I would say that a good chunk of the time I see ads that stink, that they are repelling people when the company is really a good company, that they shouldn't be repelling people because it's a good company to work for. You can see that a lot of great companies would maybe have all of these requirements, and if they were listed incorrectly, they might not, the company might not look appealing. So when we talk about the ad, we are going to talk about this a lot more.
We had Heather Canning on here. This was probably a couple months ago, and we were talking about Indeed, and we were looking into some markets, and we were looking at all the house cleaning companies that were recruiting in Indeed, and like, Heather does it the right way, and a lot of her competitors were like, painting this picture of, you got to jump through all these hoops, and it was like, this wouldn't be a fun place to work. It was an ad that was like, you should be honored that we're giving you the opportunity to apply to work for us. And it's really, it was almost like they didn't want to be successful.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a confusing message. So this is why we're talking about it a lot. It's a confusing message that we're handing out. The first thing that you have to look for is the requirements, because you want to weed those people out fast. But then now I'm saying exactly the opposite, but not too fast, and don't list them all. So which one is it, Liz? List them or don't list them? Weed them out or don't weed them out? All right. So you want to get as many people attracted to the ad, that are eyes on the ad, that are nodding and saying, yeah, that sounds good. And then they get to the bottom and they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that too. But if you show this at the beginning, right, they're like, you can't be this, you can't be that. I think most of you have probably seen those funny fake ads, hiring ads that are like, we don't want you if you show up to work late. We don't want you if you're going to do this. If you're going to do this, we don't want you, right?
We saw some ads, though. I mean, you've seen those for real that are kind of like that.
Yeah, they are. One more that was on here that I just thought of that was kind of important as a requirement, popped right out of my head again, that a lot of people have. It'll pop back in a second. Anyway, so core values. Yes, this is important.
I broke job history out as a kind of a separate thing from requirements because everybody has a job history, right?
Yep.
But ideally, you're looking for people who've demonstrated a track record of being able to get a job and keep a job and be reliable and come to work every day. And this kind of gets to the whole interview process of vetting, some of your candidates. But there's this concept called barriers to employment. And, there's a lot of reasons why, people aren't able to be successful in a job because of transportation issues, daycare issues, things like that. And you got to be really careful about how you go through the interview process. But if somebody's in a situation where they're not going to be able to come to work on the days that they're supposed to come to work, regardless of all this other stuff, then they're not going to be as Liz said, I want them there for 2 days or I want them there for a year. There's a lot of good people that are going to wind up being in that 2-day category for things that might just be beyond their control.
Because, there are a lot of really, really, really great people. Unfortunately, they're not in a position where they can work for you, even though they might be. This is not a judgment on these people. I think that a lot of times in our industry, a lot of industries, but we get hung up on this. We think we're judging people when we're talking about these requirements. And if it's a matter of judgment, it probably shouldn't be on that list because it's not a judging thing. This is really what is needed to be able to do the job. Really, you can't have a bad back and be a house cleaner. I'm sorry, you can't, because there are too many things that are going to hurt your back. So education, I'm not sure if that you would want that as a requirement, because what if I don't have a GED and I have worked as a house cleaner for 15 years, and I've worked for 3 different companies. I worked for both of them or all 3 of them for 5 years each. So I was able to learn all of their systems and be highly valuable, but I never did graduate high school. Is this now somebody that you would not consider? I'm sorry, you have 15 years experience. You've been an excellent employee according to everybody's phone interviews, but I'm not going to hire you because you don't have a GED. I'm thinking not. So a lot of times we think things are requirements. When it gets right down to it, maybe it's not. I have worked with Tom and Liz. They're great people to work with. Liz is nicer. It's true. I am nicer. No judgment, though.
Thank you, David. We appreciate that.
I'm with you, David, though, what he says about that. People are going to who to recruit. So we'll be talking about what you're saying there, David, in the ad. But who else are we looking for? So the job history, the education might go down below requirements. Maybe not, Denise. For you, it might be, no, I need somebody. Maybe the people that you're dealing with, that you are working for, require that your house cleaners or your cleaning professionals or your maids or whatever you call them have a certain level of education. That could be. Tom is really nice, and he's very funny too, which people that are on Smart Business Moves know. But if you haven't been on Smart Business Moves, you might think he's not as funny or nice, right? All of y'all know that he is, though.
Well, thank you, Robin. Well,
yes,
we'll see. We all have our moments. We are just zipping right through this, and
we do want to talk a little bit more about who, Tom.
Okay,
and I know that we're hammering on this. So the one last thing that I really want to say about who is, once you get past the requirements, a lot of times it just has to do with who's going to be a good culture fit. So are they going to fit into the culture of your company? And so, Tom, if you could put that as a bullet point.
Would you differentiate between core values and culture?
I would. So you might do core values / culture fit can be in there. People may not have your same values, but they might be able to be a good culture fit. They get along with everyone, even if they don't have the exact same values that you do. A lot of times you're going to find that if people are a good culture fit, that they will have at least compatible values. Yeah, see, Denise, you love Tom because you're on Smart Business Moves. That's how you know him. So I think that everybody who met Tom through Smart Business Moves recognized what a nice guy he is.
As opposed to the tyrant who does foundations.
Well, people that like first met you through foundations, you got to admit, Tom, they were a little intimidated. And back in the day, you used to only wear a suit and you were very quiet and you didn't really smile a lot. It was like people didn't know who you really were.
It was important. There was work to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. And back in the day when ARCSI first began too, your job was different. Your job was very much, get in there, get to work. We got serious things that we got to be doing. And so you were serious a lot of the time. Okay. So as far as who to recruit, so first thing is you got to make these decisions. So I keep telling you guys that we're talking about actions, right? You got to take actions. You got to have some lead activities. What are the activities? So the first activity is decide who do you need to recruit? Who do you want to recruit? Who are you looking for? Make these decisions now, because otherwise, when you get to the ad, you're not going to appeal to these people. All right, next up, Tom.
So, Kemi, let's talk about this just a little bit, though, because the requirements, I think that's kind of cut and dry. We all understand that. Job history, education, that's all cut and dry. This whole core values and culture thing, I'm not sure if we're all have something actionable with that. I mean, this is a whole nother discussion of, do we know what our core values are as a company? And if not, are we going to do a better job of hiring? And hence, and it's bigger than hiring too. I mean, the whole, retention thing and being able to reduce turnover, core values is a cornerstone of that. And if at some point we need to do a deep dive on that. And I don't know.
We do. So for the people that are on here right now, tell us, do you know what your core values are? Have you determined what they are? I know some of you have. I know Leslie has her core values, but we have some companies that have never really looked at just this thought of what your core values are. Let us know. Yes, no. Because we can give you some quick direction into core values.
Do you have any core value cards going around? I'm at home and I'm looking around and I've got stacks of them at the office, but I don't have anything here.
Let me see. I might not.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know it's in the lady's office, but I probably run and gotten some.
We'll have to get some for tomorrow.
Yeah. Looking, I got tons of cards everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So yes, we talk about our core values. Good. Anybody not have core values? Because if not, I'm not even gonna talk about this.
Well, don't we all have core values? It's a matter of, do we know them and are we able to articulate them?
Yeah, good point, Tom. So have you all decided on the core values for your company, the ones that you're going to focus on? Core values are very similar to KPIs. What are the basic ones that you're going to focus on? Because we want everyone to have all of the great values. We want to watch every KPI. We can't. We need to focus on the ones that are most important to us. Your core values aren't going to match my core values. They're not going to match David's core values, Denit's core values. So no, please talk about, okay, Nicole. So core values, here is just an exercise for core values. It sort of gives you an idea of what core values are about. So these cards are called core value cards, and it just has different core values. I don't know if you guys can see these on each card. Like this one says flexible. It drives how we do business. Great, Robin, you do already. That's awesome. So like we have flexible, we have integrity, somebody that has integrity, somebody that's trustworthy, is a good communicator, is lighthearted. You can see that these values are different, right? It'd be nice to have somebody that's lighthearted. It's also be nice to have somebody that's determined. But what if you had to choose between determined or lighthearted? Which one of those is more important to you? Because you can't have this many core values in your company, and there's this many and more, right? We have 2 decks of core value cards. We have over 100 values, and I have people all the time say, yeah, my core value is not in either of those decks, right? Because there are just so many different values. You have to decide what's important to you. So if you haven't done a core value exercise, it might be a good idea to get a list of different core values. You can search for a list online and order a deck of cards. It's fine. I'm not trying to sell cards, y'all. That is not my intention at all right here. And really, they're a pain in the butt to have to send. So
you make your own. You don't want to.
make your own. But pick 4, 5, 6, ideally no more than 10. And if you can keep that number closer to 5, they're going to be much easier to manage. So get a list though. And then the easiest way is to take your list and just compare 1 to 1. Which one's more important, flexible or integrity? And just create a list. This one's more important than this one. And just start whittling that down. If it's better, if this one's better than this one, then great, that one's probably better. Now, if you can't decide integrity and flexible, no, I can't. Both of them. I need both. Great, put them both in your keep pile, right? And if you have a list, both in the keep list.
And Liz, there's a lot of different things that you will do with your core values in terms of using it to develop the culture within your business, but certainly it's a big part of the whole recruiting and hiring process. You want to recruit people who fit your core values. So would you incorporate those core values into your ads, for instance?
Absolutely, into the ads, into the interview. So I'm glad that you asked Tom to go into it a little bit deeper, because you really need to have this as an action step before you move forward. Figure out what your core values are. Also, when we're talking about culture fit, all we mean is, how do you want your people to act and to feel in your company? So it might not be a core value of your company. Fun might not be a core value, but you might still want to have a fun culture. So that's why culture is different than core values. You might want to have people that are really cheery and in a good mood and like to have fun and play games and talk a lot, but that might not be part of what your core values are. Your core values might be completely different than that. You want people that are very honest, very reliable, very open-minded, very energetic, and very respectful. But you want that person
within the last couple of minutes we have left, are any pointers on how we can determine what type of culture we have and how to use that in our recruiting?
So when you're thinking about culture, they tell you to look at the people. How do the people appear in your company? Not what are the secret things that they believe, but how are they acting? So your culture is more about how the people are acting and how they behave than what they believe. Your core values are more about what people believe in. So you're still going to act honest, but acting honest is really hard to see, right? You don't see that. So it's the overt activities, how you see people acting. Is that helpful at all?
So I'm going to say, is it core values? Is it fair to say beliefs, and next to culture, say actions?
I think that's better, Tom. Yeah. And of course they overlap, y'all. Right? Core values and culture overlap. So they're not hard and fast. We're going to talk about how to deal with these in the future as we get further into the process, into the life cycle. Somebody had asked on Thursday about that first 90 days. Remember, the whole idea here is training fewer people. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about core values, culture fit, so that we're training fewer people that are going to
fewer people. We're keeping our loaded direct payroll to revenue down, which is a red number, which means we're more profitable.
Right. And that's what we're talking about right here. So, gosh, we only got to the one thing, and we had kind of planned on getting to all 4 of these points today, Tom.
But we will be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern. let
We're
us,
going a little bit faster through where, I think.
let
too.
us know if this is helpful, because, we've been known in the past to just go real fast, zip, zip, zip through this. And boy, got that done, but kind of with an empty feeling that maybe we just didn't share enough detail to make this useful. And we really want to, I mean, this isn't like, we're limited to a 1 hour program or a 1 day program. We can do this forever if you guys are getting value out of it. So is this the right pace?
Yeah, let us know. We got to go. It's top of the hour here for us, y'all. But give me a yes, we want more of this. Yes, it's helpful. Or no, I'm going to check out. And if it's not helpful, we'll tell you when to check back in again, because we're going to be going over this for a few days. Bridget, extremely helpful. Awesome. Everybody else, let us know. We'll be watching the comments here, even though we are going to go not live anymore. We're getting off because we're over an hour in.
But we will be back tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.